Okay, we're live. Nityananda Prabhu, we're live.
Okay, Haribol. Okay, so today we have page 68, 68 in the book Yadi Goranga Nahito. Yadi Goranga Nahito, Tabeki Hoito, Kemone Dorito de. Yadi Goranga Nahito, Kabeki hoito, kemone dorito de. Radharama hima, premarasa sima. Radharama hima, premarasa sima. Jagate janato ke. Jagate janato ke Madhura Madhura Brinda Vipina Madhuri Pravesha Chaturi Sara Varajayo Vati Bhabairabhakati Sakati Hoito Kara Gao puna puna Gorangera guna Sarala hoiyamana E baba sagare E monadayala Nadekija eka jana Goranga boliya Nageru Ghaliya Kemone Dhorinu de Narahariya Pasanadiya Kemone Godiya Che Goranga Nahito Tabeki Hoito Kemone dorito de Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Navadvipa Jaya Mayapurdam Navadvipa Jaya Mayapurdam Haribol 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 Nita Gaura Haribol Jai Hari Krishna.
Haribol, oh, such a nice bhajan. Okay, let's get started. Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Ji Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Sata Śrī Sīmantadvīpa Mon Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Sata Śrī Sīmantadvīpa Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Sata Śrī Sīmantadvīpa Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Sata Śrī Sīmantadvīpa Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Shri Vaishnav Sarvabhaum Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Srila Narottam Shamananda Prabhu Troy Ki Jai, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Adi, Shri Gaur Parashad Brinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sakaho, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Śrī Advaita Gadādhara, Śrīvāsa-āṅgana Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Śrī Antardvīpa-Māyāpura, Śrīmantadvīpa, Godrum, Madhvīpa, Madhyadvīpa, Koladvīpa, Rutadvīpa, Janudvīpa, Modra Drumadvīpa, Rudradvīpa, Atmaka, Śrī Navadwipa, Dham Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopi Govardhan Dvadash Vanatmaka, Shri Braj Mandal Ki Jai, Shri Radhakund Shamakund, Ganga Yamuna Tulasi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Srimati Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Subhadra Sudarshan Chakraju Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Ki Jai, Shri Nishingadev Ki Jai, Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidam Ki Jai, Char Sampradaya Ki Jai, Ācārya Ki Jai, Shri Caitanya Maṭh Ki Jai, Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Maṭh Ki Jai, Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol, Shri Pad Tridandi Maharaj, and Shri Pad Vaikanas Maharaj Ki Jai. So today is our first day of Navadwipa Parikrama, where we will be going to, I believe, Antardvīpa and Śrī Sīmantadvīpa. Yes, Śrī Antardvīpa and Śrī Sīmantadvīpa with Shripad Tridandi Maharaj, with Shriman Vipin Bihari Prabhu and Shripad Vaikanas Maharaj. But before I hand over to Tridandi Maharaj, I have a very short video to share.
In Vedas, this Navadvipa Dham has been told Brahmapura. Smriti, it has been told Golok Dham. And very few Rasik Vaishnava know it as Sri Vrindavan Dham. They are Namaparadhi and Dhamaparadhi. Anyone who have any connection in Navadvipa Dham, he'll have that frame that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give Krishna. Anyone who is worshipping Navadvipa Dham, he is worshipping Prajatha. Vrindavan, 12 forests are here in 9 islands. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told all these things. Anyone who is not worshipping Navadvipa Dham, Braj is so far away.
Jai. Okay, I'll now hand over to you, Maharaj.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that video. Very, very beautiful. Saw that this morning. The map at the beginning of it with the forests and the definitive islands are there. And you can see the way that the Ganga is flowing around each island. When we live in this region, or we stay in this region, or we come for Parikrama, we're always on ferries. So I'm going to begin the Katha for Antardvīpa. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam. Priya Surupe, Daita Surupe, Prema Surupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavalasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavaratino Kalo, Samarapaitam, Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Haripurata Sundarata Tikatambasa Dipita, Sadakridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandana. Yam Prabhajantamana Petiam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Matayottaravo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripa Mayitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravindanetram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat Pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our dear most Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering my Sastan Dandavats to all our divine Rupa Nuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindavevacha Patitanam Pavanivya Vaishnave Namaha. So I was just describing how, or we saw in the image at the beginning of that little video, how all the islands are surrounded by different tributaries of Ganga Devi. And in the course of time, many of the original stalis were actually holy places, were actually covered over or moved, shifted their positions. So the house of Nimai Pandit, where he took his birth, is actually on the other side from Navadwipa. So historically, Navadwipa and the Yogapīṭha were on the same side of the Ganga, which would have been the eastern side of the Ganga, western side of the Ganga, sorry. So today, as we've said previously, that if we come out of our Maṭh and we walk with glorious kirtan to the Ghat, to the ferry of the Navadwipa ferry, this is the route that we take. Traditionally, there would be as many as 15, 20,000 pilgrims. So many people walking in kirtan together. It was most ecstatic. I can remember one day not being able to go, and I was sitting in a doorway watching all the parikrama go past, and it took more than 40 minutes for the whole parikrama to actually walk past the road from the place where I was. So you can get a conception of how many people. That's just our Maṭh. What to speak of all the other Maṭhs? So many different Maṭhs will be having their parikramas today. And Antardvīpa is the traditional starting place that that Bhaktivinoda Thakur indicates. So today, many parikrama parties will. The whole sky will be filled with tumultuous kirtan today. It's really electrifying. So we come to the Ghat, and we cross over the Ghat. Somehow or other, 15,000 people. We saw one picture at the beginning of that little video of a packed out ferry coming across. And the first place we reach when we come to the island of Antardvīpa is the place we all congregate there. And traditionally we hear the pastime of why the place is called Antardvīpa. Antardvīpa means inner, basically. It's the inner mood of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma begged for forgiveness for his sin or for his offense to Krishna in the Brahma Vimohan Lila in Braj, where he steals the boys and the calves and hides them in a cave. And then he's shocked when he sees Krishna with all his manifestations of the cowherd boys and the cows, and they all reveal their full murti forms to Lord Brahma. He becomes stunned. It's described his senses were all jolted, and he comes down from his swan carrier and he prostrates himself on the ground, and he piteously petitions Krishna's forgiveness. And Krishna, of course, forgives him. But still, Lord Brahma, just like Indra, when Indra did the shocking pastime in Govardhan of trying to murder all the inhabitants of Braj with the Shamantaka clouds and inundate the whole area, he also wasn't satisfied with the forgiveness that he received initially. So Lord Brahma, he comes to this particular spot, and he knows that Mahaprabhu is going to manifest in the future. Lord Brahma is the supreme mystic, we can say, in this material realm, and he knows that Mahaprabhu will manifest. So he's petitioning. Actually, he's just petitioning the Lord in this place. He's come here because he knows this is where the Lord will take his birth. And he petitions the Lord for a long, long time, it's described. And then finally, Gauranga Mahaprabhu appears in front of him, gives him darshan, of course, way before he actually appears. And Lord Brahma, he begs the boon to take part in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And Gauranga, he agrees, and he says, yes, he can take birth. Lord Brahma is requesting that he takes a low birth. So this is all part of Mahaprabhu's plan to inundate, without caste or creed, the holy name across the planet. So he gives the benediction to Lord Brahma. Yes, you can take birth in a low-class Muslim family, but you will be the Nam Ācārya. You will proclaiming the glories of the holy name, even though you are a Muslim. In other words, that this holy name has no boundaries. The Christians can chant it, the Muslims can chant it, the Hindus can chant it. Anyone can chant this holy name. It's completely without boundaries. So Haridas Thakur is that noble personality who would become called the Nam Ācārya. So it's at this very first place when we touch the island of Navadwipa that we hear about the nature of this island. And Antar. Antar means internal, like we have the Antaranga energy, we have the Bahiranga, so Antar. So Antardvīpa, internal. And in this island is the highest conception. It's Atma Nivedanam. This is the quality of this island. So Mahaprabhu himself is going to take birth here at the Yogapīṭa, where we're going to go very shortly. We're going to make our way there. And as we described yesterday in that beautiful essay by my Gurudev, that Antardvīpa is non-different to Mathura and Gokul and Goloka. All of those places together. This is the hub of the wheel. There's also another map that we have. I don't know if you can bring it up, Tarun, that one I sent you of the, it was like a conch shell, actually, sort of a pinkish color. And you can see the very center of that map is, yes, this one, beautiful. So the very center where the blowing hole of the conch shell, because it's shaped like a conch. You can see the circular rings around it, and the very center. This is Antardvīpa. This is the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. And without the glorification of the birthplace, then our faith or our philosophy doesn't have a sufficient foundation. So it's we owe the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that Saptam Goswami, who revealed this place for us. He did so much research through all ancient maps, etc., searching for this particular spot. And ultimately, he found this particular spot of the original house of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra. So then Jagannath Das Babaji was brought there to confirm his finding. And he just became ecstatic. He was 120, 130 years old. He leapt out of his basket where he was being carried by Bipin Bihari and started dancing wildly, proclaiming, yes, this is the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. So this is the evidence we have for this. Because without the birthplace, how can we properly glorify Mahaprabhu? I said yesterday, all the different religions, they all have their, like Mecca for Islam and Jerusalem for Christianity, etc. So we have to have that place. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur revealed this place. So now we hear this guitar and we appreciate this internal mood of Lord Brahma. And now we're going to walk up the road a few miles, ultimately into Śrīmantadvīpa. But as we go along the road, there are so many maṭhs, and many of these maṭhs are all inspired by the original disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had so many elevated personalities join his mission, and each of them had their own individuality, their vaishishthya, their speciality. So trying to all be in the same maṭh would have been restrictive. So somehow by divine arrangement, it appeared that the whole of the Gaudiya Maṭh fractured. But actually, what it facilitated was all these elevated personalities could develop their own maṭhs and their own moods, which would be more, giving more options to the general populace to engage in their services, whichever personality they became attracted to, etc. So there were many options. So all the way along this road are so many maṭhs. So I'm going to go through these maṭhs as we walk along. So the first maṭh, there's some rather obscure maṭhs that I don't know all the maṭhs here, but the principal ones I'm familiar with. So we come first of all to the Gopinath Gaudiya Maṭh with our large Parikrama party. And this today is the Ācārya is Srila Buddha Bodhayan Maharaj. And this originally was created by Srila Pramod Puri Maharaj, Srila Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. And he has his Samādhi here. Very, very beautiful Samādhi. You walk up very broad steps and it's a round, circular, large building, big enough to host all kinds of assemblies and programs and so on. And we see the beautiful murti of Srila Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. So we hear his glories briefly, just what he came at an early age to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, 24 years old. He was called Pranav. And he was a literary personality. He studied English, etc. in the university. And the first day he arrived, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati requested him to write his Nadia Danya Prakash, this daily magazine that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati very ambitiously created. Yes, this is the Gopinath Gaudiya Maṭh. So now it's a splendid place. It's very beautiful. Srila Bodhayan Maharaj has built all these extra buildings during his time. And so Srila Pramod Puri Maharaj, he spent dedicated his whole life to that publication. He never stopped editing and performing archan of his deities, Gopinath, Radha Gopinath. So it's a very, very inspiring place to take darshan of and remember the glories of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, who was an immensely humble personality. He didn't actually begin his own maṭh for many, many years after the departure of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. All his godbrothers were creating their maṭhs, but he wasn't doing that. He had no desire to particularly do that. But then in the end, this fortune, this land was procured by him, and then he erected this beautiful maṭh today. So this is where we're remembering Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and we're remembering Mahaprabhu's preaching mission all coming from Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is are the limbs of his preaching activities, we could say. And then after there, then we come to the Sri Krishna Chaitanya Maṭh. And this, the Ācārya, founding Ācārya, was Srila Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Maharaj. Yes, this is a very beautiful place. You see, this is very inspiring as we're going along with our Parikrama. I'm sure many of you will know this road all the way to the Chaitanya Maṭh at the end and then into Samulya Ghat. So uproarious kirtan is going on. So here, Srila Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Maharaj, he left in 1991, but his Maṭh is very nicely maintained and is a strong hive of activity and preaching engagements and so on. So then we come to the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Maṭh, and this was the founder Ācārya was Srila Bhakti Vichar Yayavara Maharaj. Yayavara Maharaj was a exceptional preacher and kirtaniya, and again a great stalwart follower of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So all these limbs from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they like seeds were thrown, and these flowers blossomed in the form of all these beautiful mats that we're walking past. And then we come to the Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Maṭh, the great personality, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, who only recently, we can say, 8-10 years ago, left this world. And his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Daitmana Maharaj, his glories are endless. And our dear Vipin Bihari Prabhu, Sripad Vipin Bihari Prabhu, will speak briefly on this, the glories of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Maṭh. So Vipin can be slotted in here.
Guruve Gaurachandraya Shri Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of my most worshipable spiritual master, Nitirila Pravishtum Vishnupada Stota Shata Shri Sīmantadvīpa Shri Narayan Goswami Guru Maharaj, unto the divine lotus feet of the entire Rupana Guru Parampara, and unto the divine lotus feet of Param Pujniya Sripad Bhaktivedanta Shri Tirunadi Maharaj Ji. As Maharaj Ji is telling that we are passing by these various maths, Srimad Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he mentions in Sri Navadvipa Mahatmya that 400 years later, because when Srimad Nityananda Prabhu is telling Srimad Jiva Goswami about the various pastime places, he very specifically mentions that 400 years later, all these places which you are seeing right now, these places will again blossom. Many temples would open, and there the prophecy was also made, Adbhut Mandire Khaibe Prakash, a very special temple would also be built, and the service of Srimad Mahaprabhu would increase from there. And in our current times, we see that Mayapur, which was not known to anyone, is known to everybody globally. Maharaj Ji has requested me to speak on the glories of Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ji. I think a week ago, we were celebrating his appearance day festival. Srila Gurudev very beautifully mentions about his relationship with him. It's quite interesting that we visit that Maṭh. There are other Maṭhs also, but he personally told Srila Gurudev that from Devanand Gaudiya Maṭh, whenever you do your Parikrama, you must visit my temple, you must visit my Maṭh on the way before you go to Yogapīṭha and other places. So our Parampara, our Parikrama is still following the same route by staying at Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Maṭh, and speak Harikatha there. Srila Gurudev mentions that he was saying this in Mathura. He said, it's been 50 years I've been seeing Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ji performing his Vyas Puja. And he said that the kind of Vyas Puja which he used to perform was so astonishing that he would not only invite his god brothers, he would invite the disciples of his god brothers, he would invite all the Vrajvasis, he would invite all the Pandas, And personally, he would come and give garlands to everybody and would apply chandan on their forehead. Gurudev said, I have personally witnessed this for the last, so many years since I have come to the Maṭh, where he would personally call me, though I am his disciple, but still he would ask me, how are you? He would make personal arrangements for me. And he said that his care was not only limited to just giving you a garland and just see you next year. It's not like one is, you give someone a garland on their tithi and then you see them next year. Gurudev said he was not like that. He was always very, very concerned about the welfare of the Vaishnavas. And for that, Gurudev mentions two very beautiful pastimes. There was one Babaji who was staying in Sri Nandagram. His name was Shri Deenbandhu Das Babaji Maharaj. And in later stage of his life, he became ill. He was staying alone in Nandagram. Practically everybody stopped visiting him because he had become old. But Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ji would personally visit him and would ask him, do you need something? Do you need, some sort of money, or do you need some sort of arrangement from my side? And eventually he said that, why are you staying alone? You come to our Maṭh. We will make all the arrangements. And by the way, they themselves were struggling at that moment. When Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj first started off his Maṭh in Calcutta, there were 40 brahmacharis who were living with him along with sannyasis. And in the Maṭh, there was not even a big enough pot to cook for 40 people at once. They would cook 4 times to be able to feed brahmacharis once in a day. So rice is to be cooked 4 times and then 40 people would be fed. Interestingly, there was a brahmachari from a different Maṭh. He came to him and he said that, Maharaji, I also want to stay with you. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj said, I had never rejected anyone and I've never asked anyone from which Maṭh you have come. And we see a similar principle in the life of Srila Gurudev. Gurudev did not ask that which Maṭh you are from, who is your Gurudev. If you actually want to perform bhajan, then I'm more than happy to help you in whatever capacity I can. So when this brahmachari who came to stay with him, because he was inspired by his Vaishnava Seva and his dedication towards the mood of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada Ji, he agreed that we can, allow him to stay with us. But the disciples were like, Gurudev, there are 40 people already living here. We have to cook 4 times rice to be able to feed all the brahmacharis. You are inviting people. How are we going to manage? And his words were so beautiful. He said, he's not demanding anything. He's a simple brahmachari. He's not asking us to give him some luxurious life. He'll sleep in a little corner. And if it takes us 3 times to cook for 40 brahmacharis, it may take us 4 times to cook. So what's the matter? What is the problem? This is the principle of his. In fact, the whole life, when I'm reading volcanic energy or what I've heard from Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj or Sripad Madhavpur Prabhuji, is that he mentions that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told not to make temples, not to make Maṭh, because then one gets engaged into so many things. But he said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada Ji understood the deeper meaning of the words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, I understand that if we are going to make Maṭhs and temples, there would be some collision. There would be, many people would come for bhajan and many people would not come for bhajan. So those who would come for bhajan, they'll get the opportunity and they'll progress. The rest will fulfill their material desires. So he said that the reason I'm inviting everybody to come, though I don't have enough, because I remember the words of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that our Maṭh is not a Maṭh, it's a hospital. Everybody is coming with some sort of disease. Everybody has their own issues. In this hospital, everyone is coming in a disease state. And as a sadhu, I must allow them to come, stay with us, and to be able to become better and progress in their spiritual life. If I'm able to raise a couple of good devotees, if I am able to convert these people who are sick right now, who are ill, if I can convert them or transform them into healthy devotees, that would be my offering at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. That is my offering at his feet. Why? Because he said that when one engages in one's own bhajan, it is good. But one engages others in the service of Bhagavan, he said that is equivalent to chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is equivalent to chanting the holy names of the Lord because it helps in one bhajan. There's one instance I'll mention, I know only have 10 minutes, very, very beautiful, must-read book, The Volcanic Energy. If everyone has the copy, if not, they can acquire a copy. I think it's available online, where he gives some very beautiful instructions to Srila Bhakti Vigyan, Srila Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ji. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ji, when he came to the Maṭh, he used to wear a watch. But then he saw that other brahmacharis are not wearing a watch. So he took that watch and put it in his bag. Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj asked him, you were wearing a watch, where is the watch now? He said, Gurudev, I have put it aside. Why? He said, because I saw others are not wearing it. Then Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj said, that is very, very intelligent. Very intelligent. That without even me telling you, you have taken off the watch. Though it is useful to wear a watch, but for a brahmachari, you should not wear it because others would get influenced. If any of your actions influence others to stray away from the path of bhakti, then you should be very, very careful about it. Because we all are carrying the glories of Srimad Mahaprabhu Parampara on our forehead. The moment we apply tilak on our forehead, we're carrying the glories of the entire sampradaya. It's a very big responsibility. So without me telling you, you have taken off the watch, which is fine, but you should, but then you should always keep that watch in your pocket. He said, why should I keep it? He said, because if a senior Vaishnava asks you for a time, what is a time? Then you would be able to tell them and you would be able to complete your services on time because you know what is the exact time. Another thing which he very beautifully mentions, that on the day of Narsingh Chaturdashi, Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj, he said, it would be great if I get to do my paran with the sweet rice prasad of Bhagavan Nrsimhadev. They're in Calcutta. There's one brahmachari said, Gurudev, I've heard what you're saying, but it's too late now, because empty stomach, May or the month of May, how, it would be difficult to go. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj heard this statement. He said, Gurudev, I want to go and get that sweet rice for you. He said, I did not even wait to go upstairs and wear my shoes. I immediately ran without shoes, went to the railway station, got in the train, got down at Krishnanagar, rice and sugar, and milk. I bought all that. All the way went to the Shringapalli, offered that to Bhagavan, left in the afternoon, came to the Maṭh, and when I gave that prasad in the hand of my Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj was so happy to see that, because anything which would come from the dham, he would have great affection for that. That's why he would always ask anyone who is coming from Navadwipa, please bring special vegetables, because that vegetable is grown in the land of Navadwipa or in the land of Vrindavan. He said, when I came, Guru Maharaj was very, very happy. Then I asked the cook, the one who is managing the kitchen. He said, Prabhu, I'm very sorry, we have not kept anything for you. It's all finished. Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj said, the smiling gesture which was given to me by my Guru Maharaj, the satisfaction which I saw on his face, it was so enriching for my soul that I actually forgot that I have not taken even a drop of water since morning, and it's extremely hot. So when that person who was in charge of kitchen, he said that there's nothing left for you because we even forgot that you would come. He said, thank you so much, Prabhu, for telling me that you have not kept anything for me. I think this is a special mercy of Guru Maharaj upon me, because by the mercy of Guru Maharaj, I'll be able to follow Narsingh Chaturdashi Nirjala without any water. So these personalities are special. Radha Krishna Leela, I was reading the Ashtakal Leela of Srimad Mahaprabhu. then, the pastimes of these Mahajan. The qualities mentioned by Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Chaitanya Charitamrita, they are the personification deities of that. So if I want to see prem, if I want to see humility, if I want to see these various forms, just like Krishna has 24 forms, Krishna is still limited, right? 24 forms. But the Mahapurush and these Mahajans, they keep on expanding and keep on expanding. So I pay my unlimited pranams unto the divine lotus feet of Shri Bhaktivigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, through him unto the divine lotus feet of Shri Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj, that the energy which he possessed, because he received the touch of the lotus feet of of his Gurudev, may also get some sort of energy to do bhajan in this lifetime. Okay, Hare Krishna to all of you. Dhanavad.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Vipin Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll post a summary of that volcanic energy. We have it in summarized form that you can just read it in a matter of moments, just to appreciate the total giving mood of Srila Bhakti-Dvaita Madhav Maharaj, giving all his God brothers an opportunity to meet together without any sort of sectarian background was remarkable at that particular time. He was extraordinary, and actually that same wave, that same mood flowed through to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, in the sense that he always made us celebrate the Abhiyabhavs and Tirabhavs of all the different holy days. And he also would associate with all the devotees from the different Maths. I can remember many times in our Gurudev, there would always be Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj sitting quietly on Rupa Goswami's Tirabhav, for example. He'd always come and he would speak. So very beautiful. Thank you for that, Vipin Prabhu. So that was quite an extensive Qatar. In fact, we have many other places to go to, and I'm going to see if we can go through. So the next place we come to is Sri Gaura Nityananda Mandir, which is the house of Nandana-Ācārya. And of course, this is in Sri Isodhyan. And this is the place where when Nityananda Prabhu, he comes to Navadwipa, knowing that his beloved Mahaprabhu, Nimai, upon Nimai of Nadia, is already there. But he wants to confirm with the world, basically, that his omniscience. So he hides, Nityananda hides in this house. Originally, this was a very beautiful garden, a huge garden with a beautiful house, etc. And this is where Nandana-Ācārya stayed. Wasn't a Maṭh, of course, at that time. And Nityananda, he hides there in the house, and Mahaprabhu sends his devotees out to Haridas, etc., out to find this special person, and they can't find him at all. And then Mahaprabhu, he comes out with his associates and walks straight to that place of Nityananda's hiding in Nandana-Ācārya's house. And then there's the most extraordinary description of the meeting, the first meeting of Nityananda Prabhu and Gaura Hari. And they both embrace and fall on the ground, roll on the ground. And the ecstasy that's exhibited there is extreme. It's a very, very holy place. As we pass by this place, we can remember this special meeting between Nityananda Prabhu and Sachinandan Gaura Hari. This is most exceptional place. And now they have many, most of these Maths that we're passing have beautiful dioramas, which was the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He encouraged this kind of pictorial preaching, that the general populace could come and instantly have an impression of all these different pastimes. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati himself, in the Caitanya Maṭh, he developed a beautiful museum, like with dioramas and so on. So now we come past there in our kirtan, and we come to the Chaitanya Chandradoy Mandir, the ISKCON place. And the founder, of course, is Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I'm sure all of us are very familiar with this central place, Mayapur. We call this Mayapur. The real Mayapur is actually in the Yogapīṭha, but we all, in the Western world, we refer to this place as Mayapur. The whole island is Mayapur. So I'm thinking everybody knows the glories of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I'm not going to linger here very long. It's a very beautiful temple, and they're building a massive temple for the Temple of Understanding. It's proclaimed to be. And let's hope that the pure understanding will manifest from there. So this is a very familiar turf for all of us, is this Caitanya Chandradoy, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So now we continue past there. Actually, generally, we haven't been invited into this mat in the past. So many times we've walked past it, but because of some sectarian feelings, then our Gaudiya Math wasn't invited in there, in all the other places we went into. But this is just a material detail. So then we go past there, and the next place we come to is the Sri Chaitanya Mission. And this is Srila Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj, whose disappearance day, I think, was yesterday. Or, no, yesterday, I think. So Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, he was a very active preacher, particularly in Italy. He left Bharatvash and went to Italy. He comes from Orissa originally, and very eloquent speaker. So 24th. So we've just had his Tirabhav festival. So yes, we come to this temple, and it's not ostentatious. It's very beautiful. They have a beautiful Shiva Lingam just in the gateway, and it's very accommodating. Everyone is very welcome there. And then we continue, and now we come to the Yogapīṭha, which was our destination in our Parikrama. And the Yogapīṭha has been developed very beautifully by Sripad Yati Maharaj, originally, and Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj. He also contributed to the maintenance of this temple. And it has a huge, huge hall. I'm sure many of us have been there. Actually, there's videos today I was seeing online of the Kirtan party with Madhav Maharaj and Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Padmanabh Maharaj and Bhagavat yes. Oh, Śrīdhara Maharaj was there. Bhaktivedanta Śrīdhara Maharaj. And Siddhanti Maharaj was there. So many of these personalities were there today, glorifying this special holy place. So in the Yogapīṭha, of course, is the place where Mahaprabhu actually appeared. This is like the fountainhead of the mercy that we're receiving today, manifested in this very, very place. And it's absolutely miraculous. If you offer your full Dandavat Pranams in front of the beautiful deities there, you can practically tangibly sense the potency coming out of this place, like almost a magnetic field emanates from in front of the altar. Yes, the deities here, Mahaprabhu and Vishnu Priya and Lakshmi Priya. And when the Lord of all existence appears, he appears with all his potencies, etc. So he appeared here under a neem tree. Therefore, Sita Thakurani, the wife of Advaita Ācārya, yes, this is the neem tree. This is a seedling from the original tree. This is in the same family as and Nimai was born under this tree. And Sita Thakurani, Advaita Ācārya's wife, she proclaimed his name should be then Nimai Pandit, because Sachimata, she had lost 8 daughters prior to the birth of her first son, Vishwarup. And then after Vishwarup comes Nimai, Mahaprabhu, Nimai Sachinandan. So, and this is Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata on the screen now. Sachimata is the daughter of Nilambara Chakravarti. And when Mahaprabhu takes his birth, then Nilambara Chakravarti, he does his horoscope immediately and proclaims to the world the ultimate glories of Mahaprabhu, that he will be such a great extreme personality. Nilambara Chakravarti practically can't even believe the astrological chart that he's seeing. So many exceptional pastimes take place here in his Balya Lila. We have the pastime where the two thieves come and they pick up young Nimai and carry him on their shoulders. And young Nimai is holding on very happily, wandering around the streets of Navadwipa, because Navadwipa was on this side, on the eastern side of the river originally. So these thieves are wandering around, and by the potency of Yogamaya, the thieves, they walk right around the whole town, and Nimai is very happy to view Navadwipa, and then by the potency of Yogamaya, they arrive back at his very doorstep. And of course, his mother and father and all the relatives are in great anxiety. Where has he gone? And then they put him down, and the thieves, they run away in fear. But the relatives, etc., mother and father, want to thank the thieves, but they quickly go away. But Nimai, he performs all these pastimes, just like Krishna. He's described as a very restless child, just like Krishna was very restless. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But yes, this is a beautiful picture. He's being carried, and he's very happily being carried. And even these thieves are offering him some sandesh as he's going along. And Nimai is very satisfied with having an escorted view of Navadwipa. So this is just one pastime. Another pastime when a snake comes into the courtyard. This is actually like Anantashesh. And Nimai immediately goes and embraces that snake and lies within his coils. And then Mother Sachi comes out and shouts in horror. And all the other residents come out and the snake slithers away. But pastimes like this, Nimai would enact. And when he was first born, of course, he inaugurated this Sankirtan movement from the very moment of his birth, when he would cry, and he would only stop his crying when the ladies began to chant the Mahamantra. Otherwise, he would just keep on. And as soon as they started to chant the Mahamantra, he would give a beaming smile. So the ladies very quickly learnt this trick. And whenever Nimai wanted to hear the kirtan of the Hare Krishna mantra, he would just cry. And immediately the ladies would come and begin kirtan. There was another there are so many pastimes here. I'm just going to try to tell a few of them. But there was another time when it was Ekadashi. And Nimai was understanding that on the other side of town, there was Hiranya Pandit and Jagadish Pandit, two brothers who were in Braj Leela. They were actually gopis in Braj Leela. And they had cooked a beautiful offering for their Gopal deity and all grains, etc. And it was Ekadashi. But Nimai, he began to cry, and no amount of chanting would stop that crying. And eventually, Nimai was able to communicate that he would only be satisfied if his father would go across to bring some of that non-Ekadashi prasadam back from Hiranya and Jagadish Pandit's place. So his father does like that. He goes right the way across Navadwipa. It's described as a long way, makes that journey, and comes back with packets of prasadam from when Hiranya and Jagadish hear that Nimai wants their prasadam. They were astonished. How does he know that we were making such an opulent feast today for our lordships here? And practically miraculously, they've cooked a sumptuous feast. So Nimai wanted to honor that feast. So his father, Jagadish Pandit, brings the prasadam back, and then immediately Nimai is satisfied. And then there's the pastime where Vaikanas Maharaj mentioned yesterday something, where the Brahman, he comes and is hosted very nicely by Jagadish Pandit. And then in those days, it was traditional to supply the Brahman travelers with all the ingredients so they could cook themselves. So Mother Sachi, she provided a place in the kitchen and gave him all the ingredients for his cooking. And as soon as he began to cook, then he made his beautiful preparations and then prepared to offer. And when he had the offering plate on, then young Nimai, very young boy, at this age he's about 2-3 years old, he just comes in and stands in front of the Brahmana and starts eating the offering that he's offering. The Brahmana shouts loudly, you know, what's going on? You know, and now I can't offer this to my Thakurji. And they scold Nimai, Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra. They scold Nimai. And then they convince the Brahman to please cook again. Okay, you can't perform this offering now, so therefore you won't take prasadam yourself. So you please cook again. And then again they bought the vegetables. Again he prepared the offering. And the second time Nimai came again. Even though he was in a place where they were trying to restrict him, he still came in front of that Brahman and took the foodstuffs directly in front of him. And again the Brahman shouting, and all the residents come. But this time they catch Nimai and they lock him in a room. And they convince again the Brahmana to cook for a third. By this time it's night time. And again the Brahmana, he cooks and prepares all the offering for his Thakurji and very carefully begins the offering. And again Nimai appears mystically in front of him and starts to eat the offering. And the Brahman begins to shout out, but Nimai manifests his forearm form in front of the Brahmana, saying, you're calling me to feed me. Now I've appeared to accept your prasadam. I've accepted your prasadam in many births. In a previous birth, you also offered me prasadam. And the Brahmana becomes astonished and astounded when he realizes who actually this Nimai Pandit is. Not Nimai Pandit, Nimai, young Nimai at this time. And Mahaprabhu, he tells that Brahmana not to reveal this secret to anyone. Mahaprabhu has come in his covered manifestation. He doesn't want anyone to know his identity, yet he has to reciprocate with these different personalities. So he reciprocates with the Brahmana in this way, very, very beautifully. So there are many other pastimes of this nature, but here also in this Yogapīṭha place, we begin to discuss the reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent, why he actually advented at all. And yesterday we touched the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, by reading that beautiful essay about the supremacy of Navadwipa. So Mahaprabhu, in principle, he comes to, there are 4 reasons. There are inner reasons and secondary reasons, internal and secondary. So the principal reason why Mahaprabhu is manifesting is this prem ras niryase. Always we must meditate and think and remember that the principal purpose of Mahaprabhu's advent is to taste the prem of Sri Radhika. This is why he's manifested with the bhav and kanti of Sri Radhika. This is the first reason. We must always be very clear on this, that this is why he's come into this world, for his own personal internal desire to be fulfilled in tasting the prem of Sri Radhika. He can't achieve the same state of bliss as his Shakti can, as Sri Radhika can. So he wants to experience that bliss that Sri Radhika has for him, that completely controls him totally. So he manifests himself as Mahaprabhu simply to taste that. Then the second reason that Sri Krishna as Kaviraj gives us is to distribute this Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan, to distribute this Raganuga Bhakti to the world. So this is the purpose of Mahaprabhu's advent. So these topics we discuss here in the Yogapīṭha, why he appeared, and to answer the call of Advaita Ācārya, and to benedict the world with the Harinam Mahamantra. So these are the 4 principal reasons for Mahaprabhu's appearance. And then we want to understand what is the nature of that prem that he wants to discover, wants to taste. wants to experience. And this is described by Swarup Damodar, Shiradaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrishovanaiva. Svadyena Buddha Madharima Kidrisha Sajobada. Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisham Bedilobat. That Bhavadya Samajini Sachigaro Sindhu Harindu. That Mahaprabhu wants to experience the glories of Sri Radhika's love. He wants to taste and experience the bliss that she experiences by understanding his Madhurima, Adbhuta Madhurima, his sweet, sweet qualities. And he wants to understand the happiness that she receives by experiencing the sweetness of his love for her. So these three desires Mahaprabhu has. So he advents here at the Yoga Pit for us to remember his purposes for coming and his reasons for manifesting. So this Katha we always hear here. Also here is Vridha Shiva. Vridha Shiva's place is also in the Yoga Pit. Shivji is always close by Mahaprabhu in one form or another. So here is Vridha Shiva. And originally Prodamaya was here also. But because of the changing course of the Ganga, Prodamaya is now on the western bank of the Ganga in Navadwipa. And we are on the eastern side here. So tomorrow we will actually go to Prodamaya place. We are remembering Vridha Shiva here, which is just behind this neem tree when we come into the courtyard. And it's described that if we circumambulate here 4 times, then it's most auspicious and all of our desires will be fully fulfilled by the mercy of Shivji, connecting us with Sri Guru to open up all these truths in our hearts that we are praying and begging to experience. So this is some of the pastimes at the Yoga Pit. It goes quite extensively, but I'll just basically leave it there for you all to appreciate so many different aspects of the Yoga Pit. It's an enormous place physically. When they were excavating, they found a 4-armed form of a deity, and this is described as the same deity that Jagannath Mishra worshipped. Everything is confirmed here that this is the appearance place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the very heart of Navadvipa. This is the very heart of Mayapur, is right here at the Yoga. Yoga means meeting, the meeting place of Mahaprabhu when he manifested. So then from the Yoga Pit, we go a little distance and we come to Barakona Ghat. Barakona Ghat is very close by, and Barakona Ghat is that place where Keshav Kashmiri was defeated by Nimai Pandit. Keshav Kashmiri was a Digvijay. He had conquered all the places of Bharatvash. He would travel around on an elephant with a huge entourage of people, and he was very much proclaimed to be the greatest Pandit. And when the Pandits of Navadvipa, because originally Navadvipa was filled with different sorts of Pandits, it was a very, it was a seat of learning. And when he came, all the local Brahmins and Pandits became very afraid that they would have to face him. And somehow or other, he came alone just to the bank of the Ganga one night at this place of Barakona Ghat, where Mahaprabhu was sitting with his students. And he came into their assembly, and some of the students knew who he was, and they told Mahaprabhu who he was. And then Mahaprabhu was requesting him to please demonstrate his erudition. And he immediately begins to, like the wind is described, he manifests 100 verses glorifying Mother Ganga. And everyone is very impressed. But then Mahaprabhu says, this is very, very wonderful. But can you explain the alankars, the specialities of these verses? And Keshav Kashmiri says, well, which verse do you want to hear? And somehow Mahaprabhu, he speaks one of the verses from the very center of those 100 verses. He's memorized it completely. And he speaks it back to Keshav Kashmiri, who is totally astonished that this young boy, Mahaprabhu, is no older than about 14, 15 years old at this time. This young boy has had the ability of mind to remember a single verse out of 100 and repeat it back to him. So he's shocked. And then Mahaprabhu is asking him, Nimai Pandit is asking him for the faults and the virtues of this verse. And Keshav Kashmiri says there's no faults in this verse. Keshav Kashmiri has a benediction from Mother Saraswati to speak like this. He has a special city to speak like this, and his Ishtadev is Saraswati Devi. And I don't think this picture is the one with, I think this is Nimai Pandit speaking in front of his students. But Keshav Kashmiri, he says there's no fault, it's all ornaments. And then Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, he reveals 5 mistakes, repetitions within the verse, which is considered a fault. And Keshav Kashmiri is astonished that this young boy should have such perception. This is not even his particular topic that he's teaching. He's teaching Nyaya to the students, but this particular topic is the Alankar Shastra. He's not even teaching. And yet he says that I know something about it, and he defeats him completely. And all his students, they begin to chuckle, and Mahaprabhu forbids them to chuckle like that. Don't laugh at this person, and let him maintain his composure. And Keshav Kashmiri completely melts down, so to speak. His entire false ego has just been popped entirely by yes, this is the picture. This young boy, Nimai Pandit, is defeating this huge scholar we see. So then the scholar realizes that he's being defeated, and Nimai says, you go home and we'll meet again tomorrow. And when Keshav Kashmiri goes home, he has a vision, a dream of Mother Saraswati. And in that dream, Mother Saraswati is revealing to him, this is my master that you're speaking to. This is my master. I cannot stand in front of my master and be victorious in front of my master. And then he realizes that Nimai Pandit is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Nimai Pandit comes to see him and reveals his form to him. And Keshav Kashmiri is astonished and completely surrenders everything to him. He surrenders all his entourage, his wealth, and everything. And Nimai Pandit explains that the purpose of erudition is to only glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and nothing more than this. So this is a pastime that's performed at Barakona Ghat, where we've just come to. And then the next place we go to is the Nagariya Ghat. This Nagariya Ghat is where Nimai would perform many pastimes on the banks of the Ganga with his friends. This is where he would tease the young girls. So we're seeing all of these, the histories of Mahaprabhu's early life in this whole of Antardvīpa today. This is where we're going. I'm just saying a few of the pastimes to memorize the speciality of this area that we're in, the youthful, young, restless Nimai. And he would tease the Brahmins who would be saying their anik in the Ganga, and he would go up behind them and pull their legs away, or he would squirt water from his mouth on them, and they would all become very angry, and they would go and complain to Jagannath Mishra. And Jagannath Mishra was always very tolerant. And then one day Jagannath Mishra heard so many complaints about Nimai, and he came from his house to Nagariya Ghat to chastise his son strongly. But Nimai understood that his father was coming somehow. So he told all his friends to tell his father that Nimai didn't come today. He didn't come to take his bath in the Ganga today. Then he goes home by another route and he puts ink on his clothes and so on to show that he hasn't actually taken a bath. And when his father comes to the gut and finds that he's not there and hears that he never actually even came for a bath today, his father becomes perplexed and bewildered and comes home with his stick, still angry. But when he sees the charming, beautiful face of his dear son, then he drops his stick immediately and embraces his son and forgets about that anger that he had towards him. They're trying to educate Nimai. There are so many pastimes in Chaitanya Bhagavat about his education, etc., which are described. And at one point, Jagannath Mishra, he stops his education because he thinks that if he becomes too educated and too learned, perhaps he'll leave home, like his brother Vishwarup. Vishwarup left home at quite an early age, and this was great unhappiness for Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. And Vishwarup goes to the south and he takes sannyas because he hears his mother and father talking about his marriage. And after that time, Nimai becomes much more pacified and remains in the house, but his parents, Jagannath Mishra, is afraid that he might also go this path if he becomes too knowledgeable, so he takes him out of the school. So these are all the pastimes that we hear regularly about the beautiful childhood activities of Nimai, of Nadia. So, and this Nagariya Ghat is also the place where Sachimata, she first sees Lakshmi Priya, and she also sees Vishnu Priya at this same Ghat to arrange for the marriage to Nimai later on. So these two wives of Nimai are arranged by Sachimata, Lakshmi Priya first, who leaves her body when Nimai goes to Bangladesh today, what is Bangladesh today, to go preaching. And when he returns, it's described Lakshmi Priya has been bitten by the snake of separation, and she's left her body, she dies. And then a year or so later, Mother Sachi, she arranges another marriage with Vishnu Priya. So these are, in very brief, some of the pastimes of the Yoga Pit and our journey to the Yoga Pit. So I'll leave it here for today. And if Vaikanas Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj is there, he can add anything. I've left out so many things. I've just made a very thin sketch because it's a huge topic, really, to delve into and to keep in the time frame. So, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai.
Yes, I'm here. It's impossible. It's impossible to tell everything. There's the whole Adikanda and Madhyakanda has so much about these places. How could you've touched very nicely on so many of the points, but impossible to tell everything. I'm amazed you're able to be disciplined and focused.
Well, just looking at the time.
Yeah, I know. I saw you that.
Because generally on the Parikrama, the Parikrama Katha is generally 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes.
Right.
That would be how Srila Gurudev would train us when you're speaking, because you have a long way to go. So always our mood would be, we have an agenda today. We have to move to Śrīmantadvīpa, the Kazi, all these other places. So we're coming through. So we're just trying to hit the principal bullet points of each place as we go through. Vipin Prabhu was very fortunate.
Yeah, we're traveling by mind. So
yes.
We can hop very quickly from one place to the next. Yeah. But when you're going by foot, and 1,000 people have to get up and trundle over together and then sit down. I mean, it's just one after the other, certainly. So.
And then we hear in Bengali, Hindi, and English, 3 kathas at the same time.
Right. And those go a long time, the Bengali and the Hindi, but when the English starts, they're there with a stick.
Everyone gets up and goes.
Yeah.
They're just left there. We just left there. Okay,
Right.
Maharaj.
All
Pass the
right.
baton over to you.
Jnana Shalakaya Chakshulamilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Goda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goda Trishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we are technically in a big group at the Yoga Pit, or maybe we've left there and we've gone by a couple of ghats. So now, after offering obeisance to our beloved Srila Prabhupada, to Srila Gurudev, we'll walk just a little bit further up from the Yoga Pit. And on the right-hand side, there's kind of a clearing with a couple of very small shrines. And one of them says Advaita Bhavan, one of them says Gadādhara Bhavan. These were the houses where Gadādhara Pandit lived. Advaitacharya had a house there. He also had one in Shantipur. But sometimes he would come there, and he would also, that's when he was living there, he was teaching classes there. And that's when Vishwarup was attending his classes, right? And daily, Advaitacharya was performing his worship to call the Lord, to bring the incarnation of the Lord down, to establish Yuga Dharma and thwart the oppression of the atheistic persons in Navadwipa, both the smart Brahmanas and the Muslims who were creating so many obstacles for the devotees. But he would be giving class every day, and Vishwarup would attend. Vishwarup was the best of students, just remarkable. Everyone commented on his beauty, his character, everything about him. And Mother Shachi would send Nimai over to call his brother for lunch, because at lunchtime they would break, right? They didn't have a cafeteria like we have in our schools nowadays. And he would just walk, a few paces back to home. But when little Nimai came, he was about 5 when Vishwarup was about 11 or 12, right? And he was so beautiful. And he would come in with very little clothing. And Advaitacharya would stare at him. And he'd just be stunned by the beauty of this child. And he was surprised himself. Why am I staring? Why am I so attracted to the beauty of this child? I mean, he was completely self-realized, self-controlled soul, right? And yet completely captivated, and he was wondering. And Nimai, the small boy, would glance over at him with his lotus eyes and smile. And in his mind, he was thinking, oh, you're calling me every day? I'm standing right before you, and you can't recognize me. Right? So this was a little pastime. Later, he would remind him about that. And Gadādhara Pandit was a constant companion of the Lord. He was a year younger than Mahaprabhu. And there's a very deep tattva about the role of Gadādhara Pandit and the mood which he assumed. Obviously, Gadādhara Pandit is Srimati Radhika herself. The speciality of Mahaprabhu appearing with the Panchatattva allows him 2 things. I mean, he's with these associates, he can taste with Advaita, with Gadādhara Pandit, with Baladev, with Śrīvāsa Pandit. He can experience and taste all these varieties of sentiments of the devotee. They're all assisting him in this role, right? But also as the teacher of the most profound tattva, and bringing us up to the highest level of understanding topmost ras and relationship with the Lord, they also have a role there. And Gadādhara Pandit is Radhika herself. but it's Radhika in a different role, right? They don't have a conjugal relationship. They're friends, and Gadādhara Pandit, whereas Radhika is very, left wing and can be very unsubmissive, pragalpa even, arguing, chastising, her beloved because of their particular ras. This man, Krishna really enjoys it, but as Gadādhara Pandit, he's very submissive, very younger, very soft and docile, right? And this is important. It's not that this mood of Radhika has disappeared. Internally, he is fully aware of this identity, but it's described, I think it was it Srila Śrīdhara or Srila Gurudev? I read all these lectures on their relationship, that just as a husband and wife, they have their relationship, right? They're married, and they have their special relationship. But when the husband goes to the altar to worship their Ishtadev, Sri Krishna, then the wife will assist him, but she will abandon the mentality of their conjugal relationship. They both abandon it, and they both become servants of the Lord. So Gadādhara Pandit has to abandon this mood of being the beloved of her Sachinandan. Rather, she's his assistant. And Gurudeva said that he teaches her. Radhika teaches her beloved Krishna how to experience the moods of the devotee by being with him and supporting him in that. And when Mahaprabhu is experiencing his ecstasies, which nobody understands, and it's like epileptic fits and strange disease of the airs, all kinds of concerned people come and they say, oh, your son, he should be tied up so he doesn't hurt himself. You should give him this special oil. He should bathe in this oil. All these recommendations. And she doesn't know what's going on. But when Gadādhara comes, he takes Nimai and holds him gently in his arms and whispers in his ear, and Nimai becomes pacified and soft and gentle. And so Jashoda Mai loves Gadādhara Pandit. Just like, Mother Shachi loves Gadādhara Pandit, just as Mother Jashoda loves Srimati Radhika. So Gadādhara Pandit is so favored by Shachi Mata because he's so protective and so devoted to her son. And so many pastimes Gadādhara Pandit that when he later on, when Mahaprabhu begins to manifest his devotional sentiments, Pundarik Vidyanidhi comes. The speciality of Mahaprabhu is that his associates, not only are they devotees of all the different incarnations, not just devotees of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, but devotees from Dwarka, devotees of Lord Nrsingadev, devotees of Lord Ram, right? And also they will appear not just in the localized Dham, but they will appear all over India and then come at the appropriate time to assist in his pastime. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi also comes after Mahaprabhu begins to manifest his devotional sentiments. And Gadādhara Pandit has been told by Mukunda, who is from the same village as Pundarik Vidyanidhi, that a great devotees come. Gadādhara always wants to see great devotees. So Mukunda takes him. Well, Pundarik Vidyanidhi has a very beautiful house. He's quite wealthy. And he appears externally like a Vishai. He wears silken clothes. His hair is oiled and fragrant and curly. His inside of his house is decorated with silken tapestries, beautiful beds with the whitest silk covering upholstery, very beautiful vases and pots and even spittoons. And I think a hookah was there. And when he sees all this, Gadādhara, who's very renounced and very simple, can't reconcile this opulence with the mood of a devotee. Why would a devotee want all this? And he has some doubt. Mukunda sees that, and he begins to chant a shloka from the Bhagavatam, glorifying the mercy of the Lord, who's so merciful that even though the witch Putana came to kill him with her poisoned breast, because she offered him her breast and her milk with the poison, he delivered her and gave her the position of a nursemaid in Vaikuntha. And when he hears this verse, which invokes some mood of Vatsalya Bhav, because the nursemaid and all, Pundarik Vidyanidhi loses external consciousness and begins to thrash on the ground. And everything is in disarray. He's ripping down tapestries, the bedding, kicking over vases. Everything is destroyed in his ecstasy, completely unfamiliar. And then Gadādhara sees this and he recognizes this as expressions of very high combination, the blazing sattvika bhavs all together, and simultaneous. And he says, oh, this is a great devotee. I've made some mistake. And he wonders, how can I solve this? How can I make amends to this great devotee? I've made an offense in my heart. So he says, I must take initiation from him. And so he does. He approaches him in a humble mood and requests initiation. So the beautiful thing about this is that in Mahaprabhu's Leela, the relationships that these devotees have in Krishna Leela are often reflected in their relationship in Gaura Leela. Sometimes there's some change, sometimes it mirrors it, but in the case of Gadādhara Pandit, who's going to be the guru of Gadādhara Pandit? He's Radhika himself. He teaches everybody. For those who are, Srup Damodar writes a beautiful ashtakam about Gadādhara Pandit and says he's fully aware of himself as Radhika, and among his intimate associates, he reveals himself in that way and teaches them the highest essence of Madhurya Ras, right? So who's going to be his guru? Well, Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Krishna Leela is none other than Vrishabhanu Maharaj. So he's like the father. Father is a guru, right? Radhika in that Leela will always be submissive to Vrishabhanu Maharaj in that mood. So very special relationship. And anyway, you could go on and on. Gadādhara Pandit Mahaprabhu, so many pastimes. He's also very close with Nityananda Prabhu, but perhaps we'll be in another. We see that in Puri when Gadādhara Pandit is at Tota Gopinath, and Nityananda Prabhu will come and talk with him and bring gifts for Tota Gopinath. And whereas in Krishna Leela they can't interact because he's the older brother and Radhika is Krishna's secret lover, they don't mix. They're never together. But in Mahaprabhu's Leela, because they're both in the mood of devotees, and Nityananda is also a Nangamanjari, right? The younger sister of Srimati Radhika, they can have a very intimate relationship together. So many specialities there. Lots are going through my head, but we have to run up to Śrīvāsa-āṅgana because there's just unlimited pastimes with Mahaprabhu, with Nityananda, with all the devotees. Śrīvāsa Thakur, of course, is Narad Muni, right? And he's very senior amongst all the devotees. He has been there from the beginning, and before Mahaprabhu has manifested his Leela, even before he makes his appearance, the devotees are under the shelter of Śrīvāsa and Advaita, and they hold kirtan together, but they're being oppressed there. When they hold kirtan, the local, as we mentioned before, the local atheists and Muslims are opposed to this, and they get threatened in many ways. And this causes much pain in their heart. Right? And then Nimai Pandit is born. And all these devotees who are eternal associates of the Lord, they have a natural deep attraction to this boy, right? They don't understand it. They don't think about it. It's just that Jagannath Mishra is so dear to them. Mother Shachi is so dear to them. This boy is beloved by all. But in his early pastimes, he's not showing that devotion. It's hidden for the purpose of Leela. And we mentioned this yesterday, that when he begins his scholarly pastimes, he will often taunt and challenge Śrīvāsa, Mukunda, Gadādhara, Murari, all these other persons who are also studying, and challenge them to ordinary debate, because this was the main sport in Navadwipa, right? Debate, scholarly debate. On every corner, there'd be clumps of students and teachers arguing. Mahaprabhu was the best of all. No one could challenge him, Nimai. And so he would call his devotees also, and they were very reluctant to get into it, but they would argue with him for a while, and then he would destroy them, no matter what the topic, and they would go away disgruntled and think, oh, if only he could be a devotee. Right? Why is he not a devotee? He's got every good quality. He's pious because he performed all the religious rituals. He's worshiping Tulsi. And secretly also, he's serving devotees while married to Lakshmi Priya. He's inviting guests every day to his home, 20 guests, sometimes beggars, sometimes sannyasis, performing that. And in a secret way, he's delivering great bhakti sukriti to these people, because the goddess of fortune is cooking and he's serving them with his own hand, right? So secretly, he's, and they're becoming attached and attracted to him, right? So Śrīvāsa, like all the others, was attracted and attached to him, but he didn't show any interest. But then Mahaprabhu goes to Gaya, right? And in Gaya, to perform the Shraddha ceremony, there's a funny description. When he goes to Gaya, there are many special tirtha places you can go to. And it's described that when he went there, all the Pandits descended on him to get donations, right? I had to laugh that this is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. 500 years ago, same situation. When we go to Vrindavan, especially places like Radhakund and Varshana, right? Shriji Temple, the Pandas, they're there, and they have this Nandagan also, and they have this mood of entitlement that we're the Vrindavan Pandas, we've been here for generations, you must give us donations. This is for your welfare. And they descended on Mahaprabhu in that same way. Right? And he was very gentle. He laughed about it because they didn't know that they thought they were giving him benediction, but actually by being surrounded and being with him, he was giving them the benediction of his darshan. But something extraordinary happened. He met Ishwar Puripad again, who he had spent a great deal of time with at the house of Gopinath-Acharya in Vrindavan. That same Gopinath-Acharya who went to Puri later, right? And who later appears as Baladev Vidyabhushan, right? So then he took initiation, and he comes back. And the first place he comes to is the house of Śrīvāsa Pandit. And Śrīvāsa and a few devotees are there. They're astonished. His complete mood, his demeanor has totally changed. Before, he was always rambunctious and arrogant, proud as a scholar, right? Defeating everybody, challenging everybody, dismissive. Now, he's completely glorifying all the devotees for their Vaishnavata, right? Clasping their feet, trying to render service for them, carrying their laundry, bringing things to them, exhibiting perfect, what you would call sadachar, right? The perfect behavior of a Vaishnava in the mood of service to other Vaishnavas. Now he's completely honoring them for their devotional qualities. No matter what their status, he's just honoring them in every way. And everybody's amazed. And he's also manifesting his own sentiments, talking about his transformations, chanting the names of the Lord, going into moods of ecstasy that they'd never seen. First at the house of Śrīvāsa. That same day, he says, tomorrow, you and most confidential persons come to the house of Shuklambar Brahmachari, and there I will tell you more. And there, Gadādhara Pandit is there. He hears about this, and he's in a side room, and he hears Mahaprabhu telling these incidences, and then chanting a Sanskrit shloka. Gurudev tells the story, but he just generally doesn't tell the story of that what says at Shuklambar's house. He tells the story about Gadādhara listening to make sure he's chanting in the right way with the right mood. And that's the place it happens, right? In that house. And Gadādhara instructs him. And from that time, their relationship takes on another quality, right? And all the devotees are so happy, right? But still they're being oppressed, and they don't know what to do. Meanwhile, while they're being oppressed, Nimai doesn't care. He's walking up and down the bank of the Ganga very confidently, chanting the names of the Lord. In fact, he institutes kirtan at the house of Śrīvāsa every night. And the people are complaining more and more and more, threatening Śrīvāsa, we're going to call the Muslims, the soldiers, we're going to throw your house into the water, right? And it gets more and more intense. Finally, Mahaprabhu hears of this, and he becomes enraged. And he takes on a mood, like Nrsimhadev, I will kill them all. I will kill them all. And he decides, now I have to give my devotees confidence and calm them, calm their fears. Right? So he goes running to the house of Śrīvāsa in a maddened state, because now he's manifesting this mood of Yuga Avatar, right? Generally, Yuga Avatar means I've come to Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkatam. I've come to protect my devotees and kill the miscreants, right? With bows, arrows, clubs, and in whatever way. My claws, however the previous incarnations do that. And now also, I'm going to kill them all. But as Mahaprabhu, as we see later with Jagai and Maṭh, it's killing the mentality of atheism. But right now, he's roaring, and he storms into the house of Śrīvāsa, banging on the door. Śrīvāsa is worshiping on the altar. He worships Lord Vishnu, four-armed form, because Narad Muni's Ishtadev is Sankarshan. Narad Muni has many different forms. His original form, which we'll be hearing about tomorrow, actually. I think Chaitanya Maharaj will be talking about this Shiva Tattva. He manifests from Madhurya Ras and all the other forms in Vrindavan during Krishna Lila, and Sadashiv and Shambhu, all these different forms. But here, as Narad Muni, he has this devotion to Lord Narayan, and he's worshiping him on that altar. And Mahaprabhu breaks into the house, right? Śrīvāsa, who are you worshiping? You've been calling me. It is I am he, I am he. And he's roaring. And Śrīvāsa Thakur is completely stunned. And Mahaprabhu sits on the altar and then shows himself in the four-armed Narayan form before Śrīvāsa. At first, Śrīvāsa, all he sees is this incredible light, blinding light. And then he sees Mahaprabhu in this four-armed Narayan form. Can you imagine? No, we can't imagine. But just try to think. Put your place in Śrīvāsa's mindset, right? He's there, great devotee, worshiping. Oh, it's all great. Nimai's a devotee now, but we're still being harassed. And then all of a sudden, this person that they knew as Nimai, the boy, the scholar, all these different pastimes, all of a sudden, he's Lord Narayan. He's the one we've been calling for. The veil of Yoga Maya has been lifted, and he sees the Lord before him, astonished. And he begins to offer very beautiful prayers. And all his household people come, and they worship and they do artik. And from that point on, many, many pastimes in that house. Later, when Nityananda Prabhu comes, he's actually going to stay in that house and be there. He appeared, as Chaitanya Maharaj said, he hid himself in the house of Nandana-acharya down at Ishodhan, and Mahaprabhu went and discovered him. After that, he would stay with Śrīvāsa Pandit. Right? And so, step by step, Mahaprabhu shows extraordinary things to everyone. First, manifesting the kirtan, which is very confidential. Only the most intimate devotees are allowed in. And this creates even more disturbance amongst the locals because they can't come in. They hear the kirtan all night and they think, I'm a high-class brahmana. What are they doing behind those closed doors? I want to come in. But they're not allowed. And some of them become angry. One, I think it was Gopal Chakravarti, collected, he said, oh, I'm going to expose him. I'm going to shame him. They won't let me in. So one night, after everyone's asleep, he gathers all the ingredients for worshiping the goddess Kali, in form of Durga. And he puts all these things, wine, fish bones, red flowers, all the things that you would worship her with, and puts them outside the door of Śrīvāsa so that the local people would see that and say, oh, he's a fraud. But when Śrīvāsa comes out the next morning, he sees that, and he himself calls all the brahmanas and look at devotees and says, just see, I'm not a devotee at all. I do this kind of worship. You can see by the ingredients. And everybody knows this is bogus. Somebody's done it. And they find out it's Gopal Chakravarti. But without any word, all of a sudden he gets horrible, horrible leprosy. Horrible. Because of his offense to this great devotee. And he doesn't know what to do. He begs Mahaprabhu. He's suffering so badly. And there's two stories. There's one, there's him, and then there's also another, Gopal Chapala, who offended Haridas, and he also got leprosy. But he was given the method for atoning. He said, Mahaprabhu says, I can't forgive you. You've offended my devotee, but if you go to Śrīvāsa and he forgives you, then you'll be okay. So he did, and Śrīvāsa forgave him, and he became humble, and he became submissive to the Vaishnavas, and gradually that offense and reaction was cured. So, let's see. So many pastimes, but after some time, Mahaprabhu wanted to bless all the devotees. At first, he's only showing himself as a devotee, right? He shows himself to Śrīvāsa in that Narayan form, but he wants to reveal himself to all the devotees, right? So, calls them all. And again, sits on the throne and begins to manifest and show himself as the Supreme Lord. And all the devotees are so happy they begin to do abhishek for him, right? And even the servants in the household, everybody's allowed to do this. No matter what their status, no matter what their caste, everyone can do this. And as each devotee comes forward, Mahaprabhu is calling them one by one. He begins to glorify them and their relationship with them. And according to their mood of service, whether they're worshiping whatever form of the Lord is most dear to them, he shows himself to them in that form. To show for sure, I am that Lord. And this also shows that all these incarnations are originating with me, my original form. I am that Krishna from Vrindavan, and these are all my different forms, right? And then he blesses all these different devotees by recounting their different qualities of service, right? And special pastimes that he had with them before they knew he was the Lord, right? And he tells these different stories, right? And they become astonished. Oh, nobody knew about that. Who was it? Which devotee was it that they were told that the Muslims were coming, they were going to attack their house? They all fled. They went to the bank of the Ganga and they tried to get a boat, but no boat would come. And it was the middle of the night, and they thought the soldiers were going to come at any time and capture them. What name? What? Oh, man. Can't remember which family that was. But Mahaprabhu told them, oh, and then I came as a boatman in the middle of the night. And then he calls Advaita-charya. Advaita, previously, just before that, Mahaprabhu had gone to Advaita's house with Gadādhara.
Murari Gupta.
It was Murari Gupta. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And had revealed himself, not directly, but Advaita knew, right? But he pretended not to know. And so he said, all right, I'm going to test him. They're calling, all the devotees are going, but I'm not going to go. I'm going to go again down to that Nandana-charya's house. I'm going to wait there. And if he knows I'm here, then I'll know he's my Lord, right? So during this 21 hours, he begins to call. Mahaprabhu comes, Nada, Nada. No, Nada, who is Nada? Nada also is, it's a colloquial way of saying Nara. It refers to Mahavishnu, right? Lying on the ocean, the Karna ocean. And he begins to call him over and over, and they say, who's this? He says, oh, go get Advaita. And he's at Nandana-charya's house. So they went, they found him, they brought him. Advaita was very happy. And then he begins to glorify him and saying, oh, you called me. And for so long, even though I was before you, you didn't even recognize me. But I had to come. Your calls were so powerful, so pure, so sincere. Your loud roars rattled my throne in Vaikuntha. I must come. Right? So I've come for you. And he glorified Advaita in so many ways and revealed to him also how he had come and assisted him once when Advaita was trying to parse out a very subtle meaning of a Bhagavad Gita verse that he could not quite discern. And the Lord came to him in a dream. He said, I'm not going to eat anymore until I understand the meaning of this verse. And he said, I came to you in a dream that night and said, Advaita, get up, stop fasting. This is the meaning of the verse, right? And so he revealed himself, I'm the one you called, I have come. And for 21 hours, this went on. And he called Kulavechar Śrīdhara, who we talk about at the end of the day, but actually we'll talk about him now instead. After we visit Kazi, beyond that is the house of Kulavechar Śrīdhara. He's a very humble Brahmin, but uneducated. And every day he would just support himself by selling some vegetables and fruits, some banana leaves, banana bark, right? Very humble. His house was disrepair. He had an old rusty Lota, but he was very dear to Mahaprabhu because Mahaprabhu would go to his little stand every day and argue with him for the price of his goods. Everybody honored Śrīdhara because they knew that he was so honest. Unlike other merchants, he would give you the fair price right off. So no one bargained with him, but Nimai would always argue with him for hours and hours and taunt him. Why don't you give to me? You're worshiping Ganga every day with half your money. You should worship me. I am the husband of the Ganga. I am the Lord of the Ganga. And Śrīdhara go, Vishnu, Vishnu, why are you saying such a thing? Oh, he was so disturbed. But he would always end up giving Nimai whatever he wanted, sometimes even free. very sweet. He had such love for Nimai. The arguing was just a pretense for them to be together. And he called him. And he said, oh, you and I have such a wonderful relationship. Right? And we also have that relationship in Goloka Vrindavan as Krishna. We have a very special relationship. Śrīdhara, I believe, is a very special, one of the 12 special cowherd boys, I think. Anyway, he says, Śrīdhara, glorify me. And Śrīdhara says, I'm uneducated. I can't glorify you. He says, glorify me. And he empowers him. And Śrīdhara offers so many beautiful, eloquent prayers. Right? And then he says, ask a boon. I don't want any boon. I don't want anything from you. Ask a boon. You must ask a boon. Okay. If you give me a boon, I want this. That for all, as long as I'm here, I just want for eternity that same simple Brahmin boy, right, who comes and argues with me every day over my vegetables, that he always be my worshipable Lord. He always come to my little vegetable stand, and he always bless me with his presence. Right? After visiting the Chand Kazi and having that pastime, Mahaprabhu stopped by the place of Śrīdhara. He was so thirsty, and he drank out of Śrīdhara's rusty old lota. And Śrīdhara was so mortified that the Mahaprabhu would drink out of his lota. Lota's used for many things, right? Drink out of it, water pot, but also for cleaning oneself after bathing and toilet. And he felt so embarrassed that Mahaprabhu would, or Nimai would drink out of that. But he was so close, so intimate. And the last thing that Nimai drank or ate before he left was a special kheer made with a gourd that Kulavechar Śrīdhara had given to him on that last day. So Śrīvāsa Thakur, there's just so many things to say. His wife Malini had a special relationship with Nityananda. She felt like a mother to him, and Nityananda would nurse from her breast. Even though they were older and she had no milk, Nityananda was completely absorbed, being like a small boy in Braj, because Malini, that wife, she was a nursemaid to Krishna and Balaram in Braj. And they had this Leela. It's described in the Caitanya Bhagavad. It's astonishing that they would reveal that. How do people understand that? Unless you read the commentaries and read in a very submissive way, there's no way to reconcile that with ordinary behavior. But Nityananda, Avadut, completely transcendental, beyond all rules and regulations, immersed in this deep internal mood as a boy, acting completely childish and taking Malini's milk. Right? I got to run. Can't tell. There's lots of pastimes. The dead child, when they were having a kirtan one night, and his child, Śrīvāsa Pandit's boy, died. And the women began to wail, oh! And Śrīvāsa went into the next room. Why are you making so much noise? You'll disturb the mood and the kirtan of Mahaprabhu. Your son has died. So what? Be quiet. Be quiet. Don't disturb the kirtan. And he told me to shut up, because he realized his kirtan. Mahaprabhu's kirtan is the equivalent of the moods of Rasa Leela, most confidential. Because in that state, in the house of Śrīvāsa, when he's chanting, he's experiencing these deepest moods of being Srimati Radhika. When he goes to Dwarka, we heard, or when he goes to Puri, he has many, many other moods, different kinds of moods of Srimati Radhika, and many different pastimes as well, right? During Rath Yatra, and the moods of the Lord Ram, Lakshman, so many different things. But in Śrīvāsa-āṅgana, everybody who's in that, when they're chanting, they're experiencing their highest mood of relationship, their highest ras. But for Mahaprabhu and his associates, it's like Rasa Leela. Right? And Śrīvāsa understood, do not disturb this. Then later, Mahaprabhu detected something, and he said, what's wrong? And he went to that room, and he saw the boy, and he saw the grief of the ladies, And he told the boy, awaken. And the boy comes up and he says, you're in the house. He says, who are you? And the boy gives a philosophical answer. He says, your parents are here. And he says, which parents? I've had so many parents. And he shows this and he says, now by your will, I'm going on. I've had a wonderful life. I'm going on to an even more wonderful life by your will. And he speaks in such a astonishing way that everyone becomes, happy to know this boy is not dead. He's moving on to an extraordinary destination. And so he says, I can bring you back to life. No, no, no. I'm going on to my next stage. Thank you for your blessings and mercy. So one of the innumerable pastimes there. So we leave that place, right? We go on. Let's run to the place of the Chand Kazi. It takes a while to walk, but we can go there very quickly. Śrīvāsa-āṅgana, here we go, zoom. We're entering into the courtyard of the Chand Kazi. There's a old, what is it, a champak tree, and there's a Samādhi tomb there. And this was the former place of the house of the Kazi, who, after hearing the complaints of everyone and realizing that the Hindus were...
There's a Caitanya Maṭh on the way.
Yeah, but I'm almost out of time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So you mean the place of Saraswati Prabhupada and Gorkishore Prabhupada?
Yeah.
Let's shoot back and run in there and offer our obeisances. If you're fortunate, you get to go back to where Gorkishore Babaji Maharaj is. He was originally on the other side, but there was a big flood and the Ganga changed course and that Samādhi tomb was threatened. So Saraswati Prabhupada's disciples, dear disciples, Bhakti Keshav Maharaj, Bhakti Sridhara Maharaj, they arranged to disinter that Samādhi and take it to the other side and save this. Great service. There's a whole pastime about that. And there's also Radhakund there, installed by, what is it? It's a special kund. It's not just Radhakund. What is it, Sridhani Maharaj?
It's Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. He installed it. He asked for Radhakund to be there.
Yeah, is it just Radhakund or is it both?
And Govardhan is there. Shamakund is there. Yes.
Right. And a beautiful Murti, Saraswati Prabhupada is there. Most extraordinary way. Very powerful place. Very wonderful. Whenever you go there, it's very grave. This is the person from whom the Krishna consciousness movement in the modern age was developed and evolved. Bhaktivinoda Thakur laid out and revived the place and the tattva, the literatures, but he empowered his son, who was empowered from birth, and gave him the order to put this into evangelical form. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada created the template by establishing the Gaudiya Math and the preaching mission, which had never been seen before in this form. The preaching, the people going out like this, establishing temples all over the world, vigorously preaching and destroying the jungles of Mayavad and materialism. Right? 64 different maths and preaching centers he established, and so many extraordinary disciples. Right? So when we go there, we always beg the mercy. For me, Param Guru, like my grandfather Guru, right? And our Srila Prabhupada always said that the grandfather is very merciful and gentle and soft, and he will give you so many blessings. Parents have to be strict, but when the kids go to the grandparents' house, they always give them candy and sweets, and they treat them really nice, and they never chastise them. They just encourage them. So you can get a lot of mercy. And when you go there, you just feel that power. Very, very special place. Thank you, Maharaj, for reminding me. So now we jump back to Chand Kazi. When Mahaprabhu, the kirtan was thwarted, Chand Kazi, hearing of the news, he said, I've got to stop them. So he sent out all of his different soldiers to threaten And also he personally went to the place of Śrīvāsa and broke a mridanga of the chanting party. And in a very fierce way said, if you do this again, I'm going to convert you all into Muslims, which is horrifying thought. And it was very easy to do. Just sprinkle water on them. Sometimes they would force feed them meat. In extreme cases, they would kill the men and rape the women. Muslim was just horrifying what they would do. That threat was always there. And so they were terrified. And this went on for some days. And then Mahaprabhu heard about this and he organized this gigantic Sankirtan party, hundreds of thousands of people. And it was like civil disobedience, sort of nonviolent resistance, although the threat of violence was there, because in the evening, hundreds of thousands of people gathered on what we know as this Bhaktisiddhanta Marg, this giant Parikrama road, and they all had torches and cartels, and they were all chanting the holy name so loud you could hear it for miles, and you could see this line of torches through the night just coming up the road, right? And the Kazi saw this, and in the Caitanya Bhagavat, there's an amazing description. The Mahaprabhu was in the front, and it was so loud. It was like deafening, like roaring of thunder. But no one was hurt. And something extraordinary, the inhabitants were playing cartels, but they're also carrying torches. Many of them had 4 arms manifested. They didn't even know it. But for the service of playing cartels and carrying torches, they had both. And they were chanting the holy names, but sometimes they were also chanting, kill the Kazi, kill the Kazi. So terrifying. And the Kazi saw this, and there was no way he could stop this. I mean, he had some soldiers, but not enough to thwart hundreds of thousands of angry Bengalis, many of whom were empowered transcendentalists, right? And so he hid in his house. And the party got there and they stormed the house. They busted in, they were breaking up furniture, they were destroying the gardens, screaming and chanting in madness. I don't know if you've ever seen a mob like that. When I was in Bombay one year, just after the installation of the temple, there was a mob was instigated. And they came and they tried to storm the temple. They were breaking windows, pounding on the doors, huge fights with devotees. Everything was going on. Madness. Only went on for an hour or two, but madness, terrifying. So this is what the Kazi was looking at. But then Mahaprabhu came and he sat down very peacefully in the doorway of the Kazi, and he called him down. And he calmed everybody. And the Kazi came down, and they had a discussion. And he calls him uncle. Oh, uncle, right? And the Kazi says, yes, in our village relationship, I am your uncle. So in the family, there may be some dispute. The nephew may do something inappropriate, like wreck my whole place. Or the uncle may be doing something inappropriate, like threatening your devotees. But we overlook it because we have a relationship. He's terrified, but there's something else going on that's not been spoken yet. And Mahaprabhu speaks to him, and they have a conversation about cow killing, about the Quran, its deficiencies, how none of this should actually be done, killing of cows and all of that. And the Kazi becomes convinced, and he admits and says, yes, yes. And then Mahaprabhu says, well, you broke the mridanga some days ago, but I've noticed that even in the last few days before I came, you've not done anything against my people. Why is that? And the Kazi says, oh, 2 reasons. One reason is that my men who went out, they came back terrified and said, when we tried to threaten the people who were chanting, all of a sudden our beards burned and our faces got burnt. And this happened to so many. And so the Kazi said, just go home and be peaceful. But myself, that night after I broke the mridanga, something happened to me. I had a dream, and in that dream, a terrifying personality came. And he sat on my chest. And he was in the form of a powerful man, but he had the head of an enormous lion. And he was roaring at me, sitting at my chest, and his hands were filled with huge, terrifying claws. And while he's roaring, he ripped open my cloth and raked across my chest. And in this terrifying, roaring voice, he said, "You have threatened my devotees, my Sankirtan party. If you ever do this again, I am coming back and I will kill you. I will rip you to shreds and your entire family." And so terrified, what could I do? I said, "No, I will never do it again." And he was pacified and he left. And he said, "Look," and he opened up his shirt and he had these claw marks on his chest. And he said, "There, now I know you are that same Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're the absolute truth. I won't do anything to oppose you. In fact, not only will I not do it, but my descendants, I will also forbid them." And Mahaprabhu was so pleased that, first of all, he had developed faith and surrender. And so Mahaprabhu could see this, just like Kaliya, right? Step by step. And then Mahaprabhu, because of his expression of submission and devotion, Mahaprabhu was so merciful, he touched him and gave him prema. And so the Kazi's descendants, for at least for many generations, were considered Shuddha Bhaktas. There's a beautiful discussion in the Jaiva Dharma with some of those descendants and the Babajis and Godrum. And they self-describe as Shuddha Vaishnavas. Even though externally, culturally, they're appearing as Muslims, internally they are Vaishnavas. Right? So that's that place of the Chand Kazi. Very nice place. Big courtyard surrounded by a wall. We always have a nice time. There it is. There it is. Isn't that great? Oh, that tree's not always so fully flowering like in that picture. Nice picture. And then a little further down the road is a place of Kulavechra Śrīdhara. So that's all the time that we have. As Chaitanya Maharaj has indicated, it's just a taste, just a little flavor. So I want to express my gratitude to both Chaitanya Maharaj and to Bipin Bihari. Both their talks were so nice, so inspiring to me, unworthy that I am, and also to the organizers of this to allow us to go to these places in our minds and hearts, remember them, and by that make some connection with our Guru Varga and all the great devotees, many of whom we were hearing about as we visited their maths. I especially enjoy hearing about Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. I wasn't able, and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, I wasn't able to hear the first part because of our schedule here, but I wonder if it's known about Bhaktivedanta Maharaj that, he volcanic preacher, the stories about him and what he accomplished and his broad mood with all of his godbrothers. It's legendary. But after our Srila Prabhupada went to the West, he always had a mood of very strong, very demanding, right? He said that about himself. He said, sometimes I could be very harsh. And he would chastise a lot of his godbrothers about not working together. Bhaktivedanta Maharaj was not like that. He was the complete opposite. He had that same mood as Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj and others. And so that hurt him a little bit, right? And so Srila Prabhupada was trying to acquire land in Mayapur, but the communists there were not, the government was thwarting him at every step. And so he told this to Srila Śrīdhara Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Śrīdhara Maharaj, who called Maṭh Maharaj and said, "You're very influential and you're very expert at overcoming the obstacles. Could you help Swami Maharaj in acquiring land?" And Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he was a little hurt. He said, "Yeah, but he says we're just ringing bells, because he's such a powerful, dedicated preacher. And he says we're just ringing bells." you know, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, oh, but to ring the bell in Swamiji's worldwide Sankirtan movement, what a great honor that is. And so being a Vaishnava, a real Vaishnava, and also very humble, and having that mood of Vaishnava Seva, he was very touched by that simple statement. And he immediately became soft, and he said, oh, of course I'll help him. And it was by his efforts that he was able to overcome and get the land, right? And Bhaktivedanta Puri Maharaj also was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. And when the installation, installing Anantadev in the first, foundation, Srila Prabhupada invited him to be in that pit with him. There are pictures of him as a much younger man. So both of them were very instrumental in the establishment of that place, right? Many stories about that, but no time. I just wanted to touch on those and try to, since we're honoring Mahaprabhu and his worldwide movement, invoke that broader inclusive mood of this fantastic Gaudiya Math mission established by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, fulfilling the desire and order of Mahaprabhu. So we'll stop here. Oh, exactly 8:30. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Gauranitai, Sri Panchatattva, all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, Jai, Jai, Jai. Haribol, Haribol.
Jai, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj ki Jai. Beautiful, beautiful Maharaj. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Don't you feel
Wonderful,
frustrated and inadequate, I just, this, that, just try and get out what you can. I feel so, but happy to do it, whatever we can do. So happy. But like you said,
Wonderful.
Gurudev, keep us on the straight and narrow, short. So compared to that, talking like anything. So thank you all. We're going to do our Guru Puja here. So I turn you over to the rest of your program. Thank you all and all the attendees who are giving us, we ask for your blessings as well. Gaur Premanande, Haribo, Haribo.
Jai. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you to both Maharajas for such wonderful Qatar. It's such a beautiful day today. So nice to visit Śrī Antardvīpa and Śrī Sīmantadvīpa. Akadashi, because Akadashi is coming one day earlier this year, we're going to Śrī Koladvīpa tomorrow. And day 2 and day 3 of the regular schedule are switched around, and that's also a reminder that it is Akadashi tomorrow for all of those. We are about to end, but before that, I will hand over to Sriman Narahari Prabhu and perhaps his wife as well to sing closing kirtan. Haribol, Dandawat Pranams.
Can you see us?
Can you see us?
Yeah, yes.
How do we? Where are you? We need to see ourselves. Oh, there
We can see you, we can see and hear you clearly, so
Okay.
Great.
Where are we in the screen, both of us?
yeah, you're both well displayed.
Oh, good. Okay. What Caitanya is rising, and you know it's not at all surprising that everyone.
Oh, sorry. The settings, like the sound isn't coming through very clearly. I'm just gonna ask Nityananda Prabhu to explain to you how to change your settings so we can hear you properly.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. No worries. No worries. It's something to do with Zoom.
It depends, but here on a Mac, on the bottom left, you can choose original sound
It's
for
right.
musicians.
It's where the microphone is. There's a little arrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you have a
here's a mic.
We're on a phone.
We're on a phone, unfortunately.
Android or iPhone.
What was that? Oh, to the right? No.
Which phone? Which phone are you on?
Oh, I'm an iPhone.
iPhone, you have to swipe down from the menu, and you will see at the top it says audio control for Zoom.
Let me see.
And then you click spectrum, full spectrum.
Entertainment. Oh boy. Let's see. I'll swipe again. Oh, I have this LinkedIn.
Maybe you have to swipe differently.
What
Maybe
if I do up? No.
turn the phone that way and see.
You gotta do from the top now.
Yes. Let's see.
TV, camera, what's here? Zoom. Huh.
Wow.
Artists.
Sorry. Music. Airplay.
Wide spectrum at the bottom.
Yes. I have the mic. Let's see.
Oh,
You swiped up.
okay.
No. Do down.
Okay.
Entertainment. I just have the remote. Focus.
It will cut the voices.
Oh, sure.
What's on the Zoom?
It's just Zoom. Airplay.
Huh. We can't find anything. And your phone's about to go dead.
Oh no.
You
Baby.
turn under the phone.
Oh my God. Wide spectrum. I got it.
Yes, that's the one.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
I just have like a minute or two.
Oh,
Okay. So how do I go back to the screen? Can you see us? At least hear us.
Can you see us?
Yeah, we can see.
Oh, the hearing is the most important.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. Turn. How's that?
Perfect.
Can you hear us, our voices and the guitars?
Yes.
Okay. Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising, and you know it's not at all surprising that they're singing in the streets, asking everyone we meet to come on home.
Yes.
Won't you come on home?
Yes, I do.
World is dark and full of sorrow.
Full of sorrow.
Will there come a bright tomorrow with the heavy-hearted man? As they see their light again, or will they die forever cry?
Ever cry.
False convictions, people hold firm.
People go firm.
Fools who worship little low worms that produce no life at all. Doomed to slip and doomed to fall down to hell. Praise the names of Krishna far to every town. Hear the holy sound.
Hear the holy sound.
Prabhupada has Chaitanya's rule. Great blessings can bestow. Our deliverance is certain. Maharaj brought kirtan to every girl and boy. Transcendental joy.
Transcendental joy.
Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising. And you know, it's not at all surprising that we're dancing in the streets, telling everyone to be. We're going home.
Yes.
Won't you come on home?
Yes. But you know.
Golden moonbeams, each place we wander.
Place we wander.
Fix this mind on Chandra in bed. Lions chant and dance the purest. Love Garanga's glance. What is this? Each moment bliss.
Each moment.
Lord Chaitanya's moon has risen.
It has risen.
Mankind's fate no more in prison. Open wide the gate with love here to inundate. What is this? A flood of bliss, a flood of bliss. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama.
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In every town and village,
Every town and
in every town and village, it will be heard. In every town and village,
Every town and
in every
village.
town and village,
Every town and
in every
village.
town and village, it will be heard. It's a holy sound. It's a holy sound.
Holy
It's a
sound.
holy sound.
It's the holy sound.
It's a holy sound. It's a holy sound.
Holy sound.
It's a holy sound. It's a holy, holy sound. It's by His mercy.
The Lord's mercy.
By the Lord's mercy.
Lord's
It's by His mercy. It's by His mercy. His causeless mercy.
Causeless mercy.
It's by His mercy. We're going home. Chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya's moon has risen.
It has risen.
Mankind's fate no imprisoned. Moonbeams open wide the gate. The earth terminated. What is this? A flood of bliss. A flood of bliss. A flood of bliss. A flood of bliss.
Hari Bol, thank you so much.
Sorry for all the technical
No,
difficulties.
we got it sorted, and now you know as well for Sunday.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we will end here. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhaya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.